Welcome to the video. My name is Alexia and on this channel I cover all things Azure, and today I will reveal to you my top picks from all the programming languages that every Azure data engineer should learn. So if you're an Azure data engineer or planning to become one, you don't want to miss this one out. Our first language should not come as a surprise to anybody, since it is one of the most popular programming languages in the world, and the language that I'm talking about is of course Python, the Swiss Army knife of programming. The roots of this high-level programming language go back to the February of 1991 when it was first released. During the last decade, Python has gained a lot of popularity due to its versatility and easily understandable syntax. And for many people, Python is the first programming language that they learn. And nowadays, you can do almost everything with Python. And recently, Microsoft even announced the Python support in Excel that should be a clear indicator that you should pick up this language sooner rather than later. Many Azure resources support Python, but the main reason why Azure data engineers should learn this language is PySpark, the Python API for Apache Spark. With PySpark, data engineers can build highly scalable data pipelines using notebooks found in Databricks, Synapse Analytics, and Fabric. Even though these notebooks support many other programming languages, Python is far the most common one. So if you're an Azure data engineer and you don't know how to write Python, I would start learning this language as soon as possible. Our next language might come as a surprise to people new to Azure, since it is quite a niche programming language used in some Azure services. And the language that I'm talking about is Kusto Query Language, or KQL. KQL is a read-only request language used to write queries for Azure Data Explorer, Azure Log Analytics, Azure Sentinel, and more. The purpose of KQL is not to modify data, but fetch, filter, analyze, and visualize it. KQL excels at handling large amount of structured and semi-structured data, and it is particularly useful in Azure Data Explorer, where it enables fast and interactive data analysis. Luckily, this language is quite simple to learn, and Azure data engineers and other Azure professionals should at least learn the basics of KQL. The third language on our list is, in my opinion, mandatory for every data engineer to learn, even though you would be operating in some other ecosystem than Azure. This language is, of course, the Structured Query Language, or very commonly abbreviated SQL, the classic language for managing and querying databases. And unlike KQL, SQL is also used for deleting and manipulating the data. The roots of this language go as far back as 1970s, when relational databases were first introduced. And to this day, SQL is very commonly used, since relational databases can be found everywhere, and SQL is the most common language used to communicate with them. The basics of SQL are fairly simple to learn, but mastering it and learning some of its different dialects, like Microsoft version of SQL called Transact SQL or TSQL, can take years. In my opinion, Azure data engineers should first learn the basics of SQL and then learn TSQL in more detail, since it is the backbone of very commonly used Azure SQL database. Another great SQL dialect for Azure data engineers to learn is Spark SQL, that can be used, for example, in Databricks notebooks to query data using Spark as the engine. So, if you are a data engineer and you don't know how to write SQL, in my opinion, you are not even worthy of your title, so start learning it now. Our fourth language for Azure data engineers to learn is PowerShell. This scripting language was released by Microsoft in November of 2006, and it is commonly used for automating administrative tasks. In the Azure context, PowerShell is typically used for managing Azure resources programmatically directly from command line. Also, PowerShell is often needed when building CI/CD pipelines that deploy your code and resources from one environment to another. In my opinion, for most Azure data engineers, it is not worthwhile to learn PowerShell in very deep level, and I would rather focus on mastering SQL and Python. However, the basics of PowerShell can come very handy when navigating in Azure environments. And that's all for today's video. If you want to know the top Azure resources for Azure data engineers to learn, check out this video next. If you found this video interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Azure content. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.